What's your name for the record?
My name is Brett, B-R-E-T-T.
And you work with the press and Occupy Wall Street.
I work with the press, yes.
To start with, can you explain the real reason behind the Occupy Wall Street movement, how it started?
It started because a bunch of people in the summer were tired of the way that things in this country were going. Economically, politically. Started with an outcry, built into a movement here in September, and economic justice, political change. That's why we're all here.
Okay. How do you get responses on your discussions with such a large group present?
As far as from the politicians or from us internally?
No, from you internally.
They've got a number of working, like dozens of what are called working groups, which are simply a group with a various tasks such as kitchen, sanitation, press, and we all each group takes on its own specific issues. That gets them reported back to what's called a General Assembly, which is now transitioning to a council where representatives from each working group will go and bring up various issues and keep the general informed.
I'm sure a lot of people have seen recently the Stephen Colbert report's coverage of Occupy Wall Street. Can you shed a little bit more light on the hand signals?
On the hand signals. I didn't see the one you're talking about. I mean, the hand signals are responses in mass. You got the fingers up, which is they like it. You got the fingers that are in the middle, which is so-so. The fingers down, which is you're voting against it.
Okay. Is it an actual vote, or?
Thank you very much.
Is it an actual vote, or how is it taken into consideration?
Depending on the subject. It can be a vote, or it can just be a general, we like the idea, we don't like the idea. Just people voicing their opinion.
Okay. How are you handling the publicity as the movement is spreading across the nation?
We've got two ways of doing that. We, as a press team, do more traditionalized media, newspapers, the television, magazines. Then we also have what's called the media team. They're dealing with Facebook. They're dealing with MySpace, things like that, and promoting the message that way.
Are you feeling any pressure to coordinate, at least amongst yourselves, to prepare answers for the media, or are you just doing it spontaneously? No,
it's more spontaneous. They're having people who have called for a specific message, but I think the message is that we're here, we're outcrying, we're saying we're not going to take it, and it says change.
What is your opinion on the way the mass media is currently portraying Occupy Wall Street? Do you think they're taking you seriously?
I think they are definitely on both sides, taking it seriously. I think if you want to talk about the right of center, they wouldn't be attacking this movement the way that they are if they didn't take it seriously. Left of center, they're covering it. I think everyone takes it seriously. To what degree and how long they think it's going to last, I think that depends on who you are.
Okay. Is the media intruding on your ability to make decisions?
To make decisions?
Yes.
I wouldn't say so, no. I think that they're going to paint it in whatever light that their producers and organization wants to, depending on which side of the fence their owners fall on.
How are you, as a whole, dealing with in the media's attention in terms of their limited range of questions that are being asked to you?
As far as how are we controlling the message still with when they're asking specific questions? It's just like any other media, whether it's if they're looking at us or they're looking at anything, they're going to put their own spin to it. So you just have to make sure that you are staying on what you believe to be true and what's true in your heart, and promoting why we're here.
Well, along that lines, are there any questions that you would like to be asked by the media and they haven't yet?
I think they've asked such a wide range of questions on everything, positive and negative. They've covered it well. What I would like to see them do as far as their coverage is explain to people why we're... that's what we're doing. We're trying to explain why we're here. Again, that's an outcry. It's a squeaky wheel. We want to change the culture, the political culture and the economic culture in this country, and sometimes they may or may not be helping the media. May or may not be helping with that message.
2 nights ago, there was a video released of a car that ran over 2 protesters in Occupy Oakland. This is not the first of any sort of violence coming from Oakland. Do you have any response to this?
I think there always always going to be fringe people that are doing things perhaps not legally or in a manner that most may not consider proper. My personal take on it is that there shouldn't be violence, and that's the overall concept. Is that we're a non-violent movement. We want to do it non-violently. No reason to introduce violence into it, but you do have a couple of fringe people that don't seem to agree and want to take matters into their own hands.
Are you communicating with the other Occupy movements nationwide, and if so, how?
Yes, there are representatives who do communicate from each, I don't want to say every, but from various, especially larger movements, that are communicating back and forth, are doing some coordination, to keep everything in sync.
The movement is still in its early days, but what do you see for its foreseeable future, especially given that New York has a long history of hard, unforgiving winters, and now without generators? Do you have any plans for the winter?
People have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, surviving the winter. The concept of how we're going to survive the winter is new in the last, let's say, 100 years. We've built insulated buildings, they're very big, and people forget that for thousands of years we've been camping outside through harsher winters with less technology, less equipment, and people still survived.
What are your preparations for it? I mean, other than tents?
Tents, weatherization through tents, even things as simple as if you've got one person in a small tent, they're going to be colder than if you have a lot of people in a larger tent. Simple body heat, being together. I'm not talking about sleeping in the same sleeping bag, but just simply being in the same tent is going to be much more heat efficient, and you're going to be warmer. And the donations have been incredible.
So you are definitely prepared to stay through the winter, stay as long as you need.
As long as it's going to take for the change.
Do you have a collective vision on how this movement will proceed and be effective?
Me personally, or the movement?
Both.
I have a personal hope, and that is simply to change it. You're going to the squeaky wheel. You are going to create change faster by constantly having an outcry like we are, than going to the political parties, because the political parties are both of them are so tied to Wall Street, to lobbyists. How are they going to change anything? People say, well, let's just change who we're voting in. The second they get in there, they are tied to the same corruption that the politicians currently are.
Okay. We heard that Mayor Bloomberg is again trying to evict you from Zuccotti Park.
There have been rumors that such ideas are going around. Yeah, the New York Post this week had a, shall we call it, editorial or a demand letter of their own, demanding that Mayor Bloomberg do something about that. Remains to be seen what happens.
If he does, have you discussed what will happen if he does manage to successfully evict you from Zuccotti Park?
Find somewhere else.
Okay, good.
Keep the movement going.
Great. Do you feel as though the movement has been successful so far?
I think the number one most successful thing, if you wanted to rank them and look at it, the concept of 99%. We are the 99%. That's a...
No worries.
The concept of we are the 99% started off very small. It was not originally intended to turn into a movement and to represent the movement, but it has in just a few short weeks.
Right.
We've only been out here for a few weeks, since September 17th.
Yeah.
We're only in the beginning of November, and I think most people you pass in the street have at least heard and understand what the concept of we are the 99 means. It's a very simplistic thing.
Do you have any other thoughts to share? You know what, actually, better question. With the people who are not here, who are sitting at home, who agree with your movement but are not participating in it, what is the one thing that you would like to see them do other than come down here?
You can participate in various ways, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether it's just simply organizing just a few of your friends. The concept that people are organizing, whether it be in their home or being out here in the cold or whatever it is, that concept is going to be what's going to create the change.
Well, thank you. But finally now, do you have any other thoughts to share at all?
I've got got thoughts on a lot of subjects. Just
go ahead.
I mean, the concept of just having it change, and that people need to realize they have more power than they think they do. We're taught from a very young age, all we can do is vote. All we can do is vote. That's all we have the option to do. And that's not true. We can be out here organizing. We can be out here protesting. That's such a negative thing because certain groups of society want us to think it is, but it's not. It's simply having a voice, and it's part of our First Amendment right.
Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.